Well, hello, welcome back to Karborundum Quest. So, today what we're doing is launching a space station to Minmus. So far, I've already launched one sort of version of this out to the moon. I was just testing it, and instead of reverting, I just left it there and decided to send the second one to Minmus. The only difference between this one and the original is on the side of it here, we have some little living pods, which I'm going to send one out to the other space station just to bring it up. So that it has a longer time that the crew can stay on there. But this one has been designed completely unaerodynamically so that it's a single launch station that has a good science lab on it and can get out to Minmus. We're just sorting out the orbits here, just getting it ready. The easiest way to do it, to put an orbit out to Minmus, and then once you've set the orbit and done your burn to get out to the distance, adjust your inclination so that you match the target. Kicking off our first booster there. Now this, as you can see, it's got quite a high amount of delta V for the size of the station, but it actually uses a couple of different fuel methods. On the top of it, on the right hand side of the screen there, I've got one of the Apollo cans, and that uses, I've forgotten what you call it, N2O and something else. It uses a different sort of fuel method, but that's my little return module for the crew that's on board. Now, here what I did, and this shows a beautiful part of not paying enough attention to what you're doing. I put a little drone core and everything on these modules so that once they were jettisoned, they could be steered back in, but I didn't actually put any solar power on them. So it has no batteries to be able to drive itself back in, even though it does have RCS. So I'm just using one of the little lander modules from the SSTU pack um, that I've sort of constructed together for gathering science from the surface and using this to dock onto the module and steer it back in. Once it's docked, it can use all of the RCS that's already on the module. Oh, and there I can see that I've got some solar panels, so I can't remember what was wrong with it. But so this is using the USI, I believe it's part of the MKS mod now. It's a construction pack, has these beautiful construction ports that look like clampetrons. But what you can do is, once you've connected them together, they don't work with standard clampetrons, they only work with themselves. But once you connect them together, you can compress them and it puts the two modules that you've connected on either side of the clampetrons, it compresses them together to make them just part of the standard chip with no docking, which makes it more rigid. It saves having to berth things together. So just a little bit of some gingerly steering to get this back in place. There's also, as you can see there on the right screen, there's some different controls for connecting it and getting it to using magnets to pull it together. I still don't exactly have the hang of this, but this is how we're going to try. Just bringing it in nice and slowly so it doesn't drift past. And then one of the tricks, and I still haven't figured out how this works properly, but as you can see, I'll have a bit of difficulty with this. And there's a little snap setting, which is the top button on the toolbar. And it seems to be once you sort the snap setting, then it will actually dock the way you want it. But I honestly haven't managed to figure out exactly how this works yet. So there's increasing the magnetism, turn on snapping, it clicks into place, but still at a slight angle. But it's enough that I can live with it. There it's compressed, it's now part of the ship. Inflate it and then we go. The little inflatable modules are, oh, they're an add-on pack. I think they're a port jet or something like that. They're a whole load of revamped models. And here we go, taking out our little lander again. And repeat the entire process for the other side. And I'm doing this while I'm on the actual travel out to Minmus. Makes it easier to do when you've got nothing to do in interstellar space. So clamp it together, bring it back in. I was using the main engine and playing about there because I was bored. Not bored, I made a mistake. And I'm trying to use as little monopropellant as possible. So that's why I'm using the main thruster a lot more. And there all my monopropellant saving goes complete waste. There we go, lined up in place. Trying to get it lined up so it's straight this time. And docked and inflated. Now we just have to move our little module back to where it was, back to the docking port to keep it all balanced. Because we still have to slow down at Minmus and there's no error braking. I've said this before, but it's well worth a look. The SSTU pack. It does cause a couple of crashes, and I've had a few issues with crashes with this pack, but it outweighs it with the amount of stuff that you get in it, and the fact it keeps everything so simple. I absolutely love the landers. Every version of the lander I've used, you'll see them in coming up episodes. There was, and little things like this, like the Apollo module that we have here. It is a brilliant system to use. My only dislike of this system is it uses the, I think it's hyperbolic fuel for a lot of things. For the Apollo modules and for the equivalent to the new Boeing vessel that they're bringing out. But they don't have any RCS systems that are independent that use the same type of fuel, whereas the RCS on these little modules does use that type of fuel. So, and there you see my little mistake that I've cut out. Basically a time warp accident. I warped straight past where I was meant to be and got slung back into a low orbit and had to come back out. Okay, so just a little showing you where we are. We're slowly upgrading the KSC, and this is the sort of looks of the tech tree at the moment. Now we have the base up in lunar atmosphere. We can send all the science there and start researching everything and bringing it back. So for every one science, we can get 10 or 20 possibly, depending on how good it is and how much we have at the one time. So it's time to start grinding the science. See you again.